Test, test, test. How are you guys doing? Make sure the mic's good and we'll get to this. Make sure the audio levels are all good because I always have to check that. If you can let me know in the chat, please do. It's looking good. Good to go. All right. As per usual, the stream is intended for educational purposes only. It's not intended to be used as financial advice. If you were to confuse this with financial advice, I don't know where on earth you got that idea. This is clearly an art show. But if you're curious about what type of art we paint on charts and tickers and securities and non-securities, check us out at rainbow-trends.com. And you can find out all about all the different types of indicators and videos that we have on the instances, as well as check out some of the traders and stuff that we use that also use our tools. But anywho, this is the weekly Rainbow Trends stream. Thank you for showing up, and I wanted to let you guys know that I figured out the AI and was able to do some really cool stuff. So let me pause the music and show you guys this stuff for a second. I just thought this was awesome. So that's our guy Josh. I'm probably going to get a copyright strike on this, but so if you guys don't know, look up Wiggle AI, and you can do this in their Discord. Viggle. It's awesome. We also did one for Dime. Which I was shocked it worked. So when silver jumps up 0.25%, that's our Dime workout. So like I said, it's very important that we keep Render, NVIDIA, and everyone alive and happy because I need the technology to do that. But back to some seriousness, back to kind of what we're here to talk about, especially like on the charts. A lot of people, I think, myself included, have started to feel like the markets are kind of on the edge of something's kind of big about to happen. And I got a few things that I want to show on that, but realistically, this is kind of the feeling I'm getting. I don't know if it's super, super bad, but I feel like something's coming up. And the reason I want to show this picture, if you guys don't know, my guy Ken Roxon had a shock explode during one of his last races. He was actually in the top 4, I believe, competitors for the actual Supercross Championship of the 450 class. Love Ken. That's a Suzuki. I have like almost the exact same bike as that. But his shock literally exploded mid whoops, and this is the actual video of it, so I had to share it because he almost saved this, but he actually tore up some bones, and he's actually done for the season. So I'm like super upset about it, but this is just crazy. So you see all the smoke, all the oil blew out of the shock, went on the engine, and he's committed. He's trying to hold on, but it's one of the craziest videos I've seen in Supercross. But he broke, I think it was a tibia, and some other things got fractured, and he's banged up bad. Cause this is slow-mo. He's going like 40 something miles an hour, maybe more when this hit. But get well soon, Ken. We love you. So anyway, to start this off, this was kind of the big news this week. We'll start with TradFi. Some of the stagflationary numbers came out of the US that was pretty actually damn far off estimates. We actually saw, let me see what this is. Units economy expanded. So QDP growth for Q1 was 1.6, trailing all forecasts. Main growth engine personal spending rose at a slower than forecast of 2.5 pace, but a closely watched measure of underlying inflation advanced at a greater than expected 3.7 clip. So it's pretty crazy that these were that far off, and it's kind of what spooked the market. And we saw the S&P take a bit of a nosedive this week based off of this. Like instantly this data came out and like it cranked. Now we had some like predetermined moves before where stuff was pulling back down, but the S&P you guys have been watching this channel walker for quite a while. And normally I watch this on the H4, but the pivots up here are kind of like showing a little bit on H1, so I'm looking at that. But this channel walk finally broke, and my sentiment on the S&P is this entire growth up was really the market thinking the money printer was going to come back online, and we ended up doing like a 20-something% run from this breakout of this down channel. He actually went from the bottom. It's probably like 25, 30. Let me see. I do want to see. I want to know. So yeah, about 30%, and we lost a tool on that one. Hold on. There we go. And we broke out of the channel walker, and you guys know how I am with channel walkers because I've been preaching those a lot the past few streams because that's been the setup in tradfi. We've kind of been taking the knowledge of these channel walks where we have the setup defined channel with the channel walker hugging directly below it. When we break south of this, we get the hell out of the way. I don't make up the rules, just these things tend to bleed out. We're going to review some of the crypto ones that played out later in the stream, specifically Ethereum, because this channel walker is still playing out on Ethereum, albeit we're months in advance of this. But the thing to keep note is the trend shifted. And when we first saw this, the last streams a few weeks ago, we were focused on this because we said the trend has definitely changed. We know that. It's out of this channel. It's really, we're going to either keep moving down or we're going to do some type of consolidation and then either break up or break down. Those were really the two different options we had. And so far, it's been doing the first one. It's just kind of grinding out, which is a normal kind of what you expect with like a channel walker setup. And we actually got a bottom print on the H1 and we bounced a little bit, but so far the market data has not been so great. And it's one of those things where inflation is starting to kind of turn its head a little bit in the wrong direction. GDP is slowing down. We're starting to see kind of the tickers that things pike up or move in the directions we don't want to see when we have these high of rates. So the market was thinking we were going to get multiple rate cuts here, money printer go brr, and it's not. It's looking now like the market's actually anticipating no cuts in 2024, potentially pushing it into 2025. Gut tells me, and my story the whole time, wait till Jerome comes out and says 0. He finally did that. Now it's wait till he comes out and says negative, which is going to be like negative 25, negative 50, and he's going to ease the rates back off because things are starting to break, and they're going to try to hold it as long as they can because the inflation stuff is just not going so hot. But leaving this chart, something I don't normally show is the MAG 7, albeit you count here, hey runner, this is 8. I threw in AMD because if we're going to look at NVIDIA and we're going to look at Microsoft, I kind of want to see AMD too. Albeit I should probably put Intel in here too, but I don't want to do 9. But the point is, your Magnificent 7 aren't doing so hot. Google kind of doing the best out of all of them. They had good earnings. Amazon, considerable pullback. Apple's been bleeding for a while. If you don't notice, that's the channel walk that we caught earlier. Later last year, like nailed that to a T. This is the exact same setup that the S&P 500 is doing right now. Big 20-30% move, channel walk. If I had all the tools on here, you could see it, but I'm on mini screen, so I don't have it. And then break out into some type of range, and now they're kind of just not looking so hot. Meta, the one that really went crazy this week. We actually have a BART setup with a bunch of gaps. Earnings came out, and everything nuked. Microsoft rolling over NVIDIA. The magical stock that does not stop finally stopped, believe it or not. And we followed this one as well because this was another channel walker that broke, and you can actually see the colors rotating out of this one as well. The colors rotating out. Now we're trying to find support, and dude, we're so high up. I don't know. NVIDIA is in a weird position though because they can't produce enough equipment for their demand. So I'm really, really bullish on NVIDIA. I like their hardware structure. They're going to really feed AI, but you have to notice these runs can't go forever. Just based on market caps. You can't print infinity market caps. It's just not a thing. So eventually these trends, if they're, when you see a meme coin going completely vertical, they can only do that for so long because otherwise they'll outpace Bitcoin and it's just not going to happen, right? maybe one day Bitcoin gets taken out, but highly unlikely. Tesla, been bleeding a long time. And you remember this last print at like $100, and you remember how evil the world was talking about how awful Elon was? We're actually starting to get that talk again right around here at like 150, 170. For the most part, though, this one's just kind of been in a channel down, and it's just been bouncing back and forth while they bleed. And they actually went through a bunch of layoffs this week, which is, I don't know the history of layoffs at Tesla, but it's not a good look either way. Same thing, AMD bleeding out, not doing so well, full color rotation. So the point of it is S&P broke the channel walker. We're really trying to figure out how bad it's going to be. Inflation's not doing the best. Fed rate hikes looking like they're not going to happen. The other thing I'm looking at is the US 2 to 10 yield inversion. Sorry. So this is the 10-year yield minus the 2-year yield. And typically you can see this red line here. I'll make it a different color and make it larger. Typically, when this thing uninverts, and when I say uninverts, this is below zero. These ranges here are below zero on the ranges, right? When these start going back positive and then the 10-year yield is more than the 2, it goes into the positive, and then we see these moves up on the yields. And if you've noticed on the charts, when it uninverts, we have a downtrend, right? So what I'm kind of trying to make the point, this is hard to do because if I do it log, it doesn't show up right. But the point is, and you can kind of see the one here where COVID went dumped and all my marks now don't align. Dang it. But you get the point. We're about to do it at some point here in the near future. We've been negative for a very long time on the yield curve inversion. Like I said, I mean, the 2-year yields are higher than the 10. That's starting to curl, right? And it's looking like maybe that's 2025. Sometime, whether it's the end of this year or next year, we are eventually going to curve up through here and work our way back up where the 10 years higher than the 2. And we have to be really cognizant of the S&P rolling over. Will it roll over? I don't know. Is it going to do this every single time? No. There's times when it's inverted and it hasn't done so much. I don't want to call that the yield curve inversion dump there because that's really COVID. But the point being is a lot of people watch this. A lot of old school tradfi traders watch this daily. It's like watching paint dry, but they get super skittish when this inverts. And it's going to happen probably in the next 12 months would be my guess. Like I said, this thing is very, very slow. But it's something we have to keep an eye on because if you start showing weakness on the S&P and this inverts, it's going to spook out a lot of other people. So you got to be careful because even if it's something to be scared of or not, if people get skittish and pull their capital from the markets, it can still drop stuff off. So it just is what it is. Anyway, what's up, Fletch? What's up, Bald Squirrel? Caleb? Sean? Not too much, Sean. You haven't missed much. We're only about 12 minutes in. Covering some of the stuff that's making me cautious. There's a lot of times where you just have to kind of watch and know something is potentially happening and seeing how it happens. So the inflation data that the Feds kind of watch, the Fed data is starting to show that it's picking back up, and I'm waiting to see if we actually see this on true inflation too. Hopefully you guys can hear me again. Sorry, might cut out. Yeah, I touched it. Sorry. So I'm trying to see what's going to happen here. If inflation starts creeping up on true inflation and it also starts picking back up on the Fed data, which is lagging, we're definitely not getting cuts this year. And it puts the Fed in a really weird spot between a rock and a hard place, because they have to cut at some point, right? Or something, big things will just start breaking. They can't just increase rates nonstop. Big banks will start blowing up, and there's not much you can do. So we got to keep an eye on this. We got to keep an eye on the yield curve inversion. We got to keep an eye on the Mag 7, and we just got to stay frosty. We spotted a lot of stuff break these channel walks. NVIDIA, Apple, S&P 500, and it's playing out to a T. So we've basically taken kind of these channel walker rainbow theories and applied them to traditional markets, and it's actually playing out to a T and working quite well. So moving on to Bitcoin, shout out to Hal Finney, the likely creator of Bitcoin, in my opinion. If not, he's the first person to ever receive Bitcoin from Satoshi. So shout out Mr. Hal. May he rest in peace. So in crypto, things have been quite exciting. The SEC had 2 lawyers resign after a federal judge sanctioned the SEC themselves for false statements and abuse of power. Abuse of power in a crypto legal case. So a judge basically came in and said, SEC, you guys are way out of line. And these people actually career businessmen, like deep into their legal law firm or law careers, actually resigned from the SEC. So this was last week. And, did SEC kind of chill out and roll over? No, they came back firing. And the developers of Samurai Wallet were actually arrested. One of them was actually extradited from Portugal. And why? Because the Samurai Wallet Bitcoin private, and all of these developers are facing 25 years in prison for writing code. Sending a message, needless to say. There's been a lot of talk on crypto recently, on crypto Twitter, talking about like privacy is not a crime. I fully agree. I think you should be able to send money wherever you want and not be monitored. It is what it is. But they're coming out hard on that type of stuff. In addition to that, the FBI actually warned against non-KYC Bitcoin and crypto money transmission services. So basically, they're coming out, any type of person using any type of crypto services to like do payments or something like that. They're coming at it as a money laundering scheme. We're like, hey, you need to be making sure you're using a place with KYC for F's sakes. So considering all the leaks we've had with like people's private information, I'd rather be able to just use anonymous payments. It's not like cash isn't anonymous. You can hand a stranger a $100 bill. It is what it is. What's up, Pixa? Bald squirrel. Yeah, that's my favorite picture of Hal Finney, by the way. Bald squirrel. It's him with his pupper. Yeah. So this is just absolutely ridiculous. The same thing. It's open source code. I think Samurai may be open source. I don't know, but like the Tornado wallet stuff or the Tornado stuff, that totally is open source. That they yanked that dude out of Europe and put him in jail so fast. But one of the most beautiful things about Bitcoin, Satoshi is anonymous, likely dead, in my opinion. Because if it's not Hal Finney and it's not the original guy, I'd imagine they're either in jail or dead at this point. Otherwise, the funds would have moved. But the point here is a really good one. If Satoshi wasn't anonymous, he'd already be in jail for life. I guarantee you, Senator Warren would have him in a commission and be yelling at him and all this stuff for contempt and be going crazy about it. So it's kind of a nice feature. We don't know who it was. We'll never know. And hopefully they never show back up. As much as I would love to interview them or hear them talk where they may be, it's really nice that the government can't pinpoint who it is because they can't make them a scapegoat. It's just a name, right? It's actually kind of a miracle that, like, probably if this would have been developed maybe like 5 years later, man, I don't know if you could have kept your anonymity through all this, because it's got to be one of the most widely known anonymous persons in the world at this point, would be my guess. But moving on to Bitcoin, ETF flows. I've been waiting so long for Grayscale to get under 300,000, and they are like exactly at 300,000, like 200 Bitcoin or something like that. So next week for sure, we'll get them out. We'll get them bleeding out, and I'll update my bleed Grayscale out chart sometime before the next stream. But the point here is the run for IBIT finally stopped. They actually had their inflows. They had a I think it was almost world record, if not world record, number of inflow days. Finally came to a stop. Yesterday, BlackRock came in at 0, and Grayscale actually sold 130 million, twice the day before. Today, they sold 140 million, while the other numbers are still coming in. So we had actual net outflows of the ETFs. Big deal. Big deal. And you're asking yourself, shouldn't price be like negative 20 right now, below 0? Well, no, it's not. It's still trading in this Wyckoff range. So I'm going to cover this one. If you didn't see this tweet, this is one of the broad tweets of this last week or this week that kind of got a lot of people's attention. But we are getting into crypto where Bitcoin is just ranging. And a lot of people are freaking out. If you zoom out on this bad boy and you pull all my schematics away, like arguing over, can't even see it with all my markups, this little bitty area here. Everyone's so zoomed in. And 4 hours is my favorite. That's where the default tuning is for all Rainbow Trend products. We look at here and we slow down. Let me hide that because that's the distribution range. So this is kind of the Wyckoff schematic that I like for reaccumulation. And this is where I started sniffing out this creek here. And I try to draw this line here that's on a lot of them, and then the wigglies here. And that's what we kind of made the calls like, hey, everyone's freaking the F out. This is a creek. It's designed to freak you out and make you capitulate at the bottom. And we had multiple wicks into the support order block that's been marked by the actual algorithms here. We tagged it and we wicked it 2 more times, and then we jumped out of this thing. So from the bottom wick, we actually got a 13% move out of Bitcoin. And then the markets this week kind of fell off. And I had some people messaging me and DMing like, hey, is the Wyckoff schematic dead now? Are you dropping that? And to answer that question, no, I'm not. And it's not that I'm being stubborn. For me to say this is invalidated yet, I kind of want to see this touched or tested. And right now it doesn't look amazing, but we're still not there yet. A lot of this type of chop after a creek jump is all over the place, and then it eventually comes up here and does its thing. That's weird. My mouse got all messed up there. So my point is, I'm watching it. It doesn't look amazing. I would love this just to go straight up to the range, but we're kind of seeing some pullback and some chop, and maybe it should grind through. Right now, the S&P 500 and a bunch of stocks are not doing great. We're having negative outflows. The SEC is moving on a bunch of stuff, and price isn't just doing this, right? So keep that in mind. It's holding kind of resilient, and this type of stuff is just going to be choppy as F. So for me, I don't care. I'm not like low time frame scalping on leverage. So if you're scared, do your thing, but we're still above this creek, and I'm not really interested unless we touch this again. If it touches this again, I have seen creeks that do this, and then we go. But I don't want to keep retesting this lower order block. The more times we test it, the more likely it is we cut through it, and I don't want to do that. So either way, I'm waiting on the chop, and we'll see. Bitcoin's either going to show up on this support order block in the 60s, or it's going to hit this one in the 74s. That's it. There's no other options here. It's not rocket science. A lot of people want to overcomplicate this like Wyckoff schematics to a T and just argue for freaking days. We have our support range, we have our resistance range, and we're grinding through this, and it's just eating people's capital up. We just had that happening like a week or two ago. Don't capitulate. Like, there's not time to get liquidated. Not the time. You know, it's never really the time, but like, you know, with the way these markets tend to start off after a halving, don't lose your capital now. We're looking at good things to come. So anyway, we jumped the creek. Things are not looking amazing, but that's where, if you ask me, if we touch this, I'm calling this reaccumulation chart wrong, or back it up a little bit. Maybe we do this where we bounce again and do that. And the reason I say that, I think it's, let me do a quick check. We'll edit this out and post if I'm wrong, right? Let me go see if I can find it. There's one Bitcoin one in particular that does it. And I think it's, yeah, it's this one. So this is kind of that mountain. Now, this is after the first time we broke 60,000 and we came falling back down, and like Binance lights actually went on. This is kind of the creek. Bounced and did it twice, and then it went, right? So this is what I'm kind of saying is like, you know, maybe we bounced up, we're here, and we're going to grind back down here and then test and go again. That's kind of like my last way I'll logically tell people that I think this is a creek. After that, if that's invalidated, I'm not saying that's a creek anymore. But so far, we're still on target. We're still doing our thing. Things are looking good. A lot of people want to get bearish when Bitcoin's above $60,000, and I'm not in that camp personally. But our all-time high order blocks is that red one, or not that red one. It's up here. Oh, I don't have it on this chart. My bad. Or nope. I'm sorry. One layer higher. There it is. That's the all-time high order block. So as you guys saw, we come down and kiss this, and then we grind down again. That's kind of what I'm talking about. You can go back and study that 30K one that happened, but that's what we're looking at for Bitcoin. Until then, I don't really care. I'm really kind of hands off on this. You can't really touch my DCA average on Bitcoin, so I'm just not going to worry about this. As well as I'm not really interested until we touch this or this. So as long as we're doing this, you're not going to see Runner freaking out at all. That's part of it. You might as well just draw a block here to where you can't even see price until it peaks up above, and you'll be good to go. So anyway, that's where my thoughts are on that. Also, you got to remember tax season came in. A lot of people had to sell crypto to pay the IRS. It's just part of it, guys. So another thing, moving on, taking a look at some of our mining stocks. I kind of made a Mag 7 version. We got Mara here, Riot, Clean Spark, and then I forgot what this one's called, Cypher Mining. And then I put coin and MicroStrategies here. So big thing, coin and MicroStrategies have rolled over. We've got rainbow rotations on those. Purples all the way back to greens. Purples all the way back to greens. And then we've kind of got this up and down with the mining stocks. Now with the halvening, there's going to be some really weird stuff going on with the mining because a lot of stuff is not going to be profitable anymore. And there's just nothing you can do about it. It's, you have to sell your old equipment and buy new equipment. You're not going to make the old stuff really profitable unless price just starts really skyrocketing. But typically with the difficulty adjustments and the halving and all that junk, they're only making 450 Bitcoin per day now. We're making 900. So these guys are going to be under a lot of pain. And that's why you see this dog leg down here, right, on most of these. And they've had a considerable pump. But now it's kind of one of those things that's like, I want to keep an eye on it, right? But to sum it up, shout out 9K or sell 9,000. Miners selling, price not going down. The halvening happens. Miners are selling more and price goes down more. Unlikely. Use your brains. And what he's basically telling you is like, don't sweat it. This is a good time. Chill out. And you can go back and read some of his thoughts here. But if you don't follow Sell 9000, you definitely should. He's one of my favorite OGs of all time. So moving on to the number 2 crypto, Mr. Vitalik himself. If you don't know who this is Vitalik's dad, and he's an absolute Chad. He's shredded. And then we have the vegetarian mega brain son who's not shredded. And there's been a lot of stuff going on again this week with the authorities and Ethereum. So reports from insiders. Now, mind you, I don't really believe insiders at all. It's always just like, hey, the Fed's gonna cut, and then it never happens, right? I just don't believe insiders. But this is maybe a pretty good one. U.S. SEC expected to deny the spot Ether ETFs next month. So they're gonna come out and say it's a security. Well, Consensus went ahead and filed in a federal court. They sued the SEC over the unlawful seizure of authority over Ethereum. And that's kind of interesting. This is something where we might actually see the Supreme Court come out and say, nah, SEC Gensler, you're wrong. This is a commodity. It's not a security. SEC is being gross here. But this was pretty cool because it's like, F it. y'all gonna serve us and do all this other. We're just gonna take you to court. Like, we're gonna preemptively sue you. And my favorite, well, I'm saying this, my second favorite lawyer in the crypto industry. Shout out to my favorite lawyer, who will be unnamed. I know ETH is a commodity. Paul at Coinbase. This is the head of legal at Coinbase. You know ETH is a commodity. The CFTC knows ETH is a commodity. It's time for the SEC to admit that it still knows ETH is a commodity too. No more games. Thank you to Consensus for standing up against the SEC's unlawful expansion of authority. So basically, they kind of served Gensler a Wells notice. Now, back to, we've been talking channel walkers, and I'm not on log anymore, is it? Yep, I need to be logarithmic. I wish my lines would not move like that. Now, this is the old Ethereum chart that I posted months back, and I said, hey, we're looking at probably a 60% run that's going to break out of this channel walk. And we ended up going, I think, like 70%, and then it broke, and a lot of people like accused me of being a mega ETH bear, even though I have a very, very, very large position in ETH. My point is, this was right to a T. I'm not asking for clout. I'm trying to point that, like, this is a live example of how these channel walkers play out, because we're seeing this channel walker in a lot of the tradfi. So I wanted to review this one with you guys real quick. And we had a channel walk, and if you remember my old streams on this, it's like, dude, I freaking love Ethereum. Love it, love it, love it. But if you project this out, this channel walker was going to hit over $100,000 per Ethereum by the end of the year. And that's just not really possible. Maybe if they killed the dollar, you could do it, but this just isn't possible. So we were expecting a rollover. And this is rolling over just like the S&P is rolling over right now. The S&P is like here, right? We haven't seen the rest of the picture. And this is an old fractal that I drew over the chart. And I'll be damned, it's like to a T. Now, hopefully we have an order block here that holds it. But the point being is take a look at this chart, figure out how to draw it on your charts with the paint. Because if you figure out, like, here's an obvious channel, whales are in control, they're spending a lot of energy here to do this. Here's the channel walker tool hugging it. I'm locked in. I have a channel walker that's in play, especially if you're tagging this reversion band. They can't really hold this for a very long time. And the truth is, it just, no matter what you do, I don't care what size whale you are, even if you're like the Fed themselves, Yellen can't support major coins in the top 10 hanging in these bands. They just don't have enough fuel. And that's kind of like the basis of like rainbow theory. What can a whale do? What can't a whale do? And that's kind of the basis of the colors. Like, this is a lot of effort. This is not a lot of effort. It's kind of like how Morpheus in like the Matrix movie kind of figures out like the bots have limits. They're not infinite. So if you can get above their limits, you know, you could beat them. Well, the idea is the whales can't do this nonstop. Like, we know the whales can't send Ethereum to 100,000K in 9 months or 7 months, whatever. And I'm bullish on Ethereum. It's not bearish. It's just, you have to be realized, like, we're aiming at a trajectory that's impossible. Something has to change, and that's where you get this, which is going to be consolidation. Highly likely it's distribution. Unlikely, in my opinion, because we're going into a bull run. I don't expect these distributions to like permanently nuke and retrace. So if we're lucky, this is where we find support here at like 3,000. I don't want to go below it because the old fractals show us going down to like 25, which I really, really don't want to do. But I'm just going to buy more. But anyway, shout out to channel walkers because they're what paying the bills right now. But if you guys have any questions, hit me up in a DM or whatever. We can definitely do this, or in the Discord. Definitely go hit up the Discord because I'm not the only one who's been in channel walkers. They've figured out the language that I've been speaking, and they've been able to trade these too. So anyway, Ethereum is doing exactly what Ethereum's done in years past. It's the same setup. A lot of people don't spot it, but if you learn how to draw like a channel walker, you see your channel walker tool hugging just below it. You see that they're painting nice, pretty paint into this. You want to see your blues or purples and steady run into this and try to tag this rainbow for a bit, the reversion bands. You're going to get that rollover to the right. It's just a matter of time. It's just how these things play out. Like, we went and looked at Apple, right? I can just show you this one real quick. You see the old Apple channel walk? Let me make sure this is... Yeah, it's logarithm. Sorry, I draw these sometimes and I don't realize I'm not in log, but that's your channel walker on a tradfi with the perfect channel walker tool hugging your channel, and then it breaks through. So even if like we were to just keep trucking through this and we're still like all-time highs, the key is to recognize this break, because you can protect yourself. Because if things go real south, you're hedged from that and you're protected from it. That's the key. And that's what you can catch on these shifts is like, hey, trend's changed. And once you get in this trend, you can recognize to yourself and be in the moment, because trading live pays bills. Trading in hindsight, you can get like followers on Twitter, but like trading live with the whales and seeing what they're doing, that's where this stuff is at. And that's what channel walker setups are all about, because they tell you, rainbow theory wise, like, hey, your big whales who are supporting this, they're not doing that anymore. And they've either flipped short, got out of their position, they're hedging, or they're going to pump their brakes and reaccumulate before they go for another run. And so far, Apple is down, pulled back like 17%, and it's currently down 15%, which it doesn't sound like a lot when we're talking about like PopCap, but that's a big thing you could have protected yourself from on a drawdown. And it's just, you got to chill. Maybe this is a creek, who knows, it kind of looks like that. But the other thing too, since it's here, watch out for these. That's a slightly higher high, and that'll bait people to get long, and then the whales will say, see ya, and they'll nuke you. You want to see strong follow-throughs. You don't want to see blues to greens. You want to see blues turn into purples and send it. You want to see follow-through. More strength, more energy, get it done. But back to my thing on Ethereum. Altcoin Psycho. Big place in my heart. Always loved my guy AP, because he helped mentor me a little bit when I was much younger. But he brought up a really good point on Ethereum, and he says nobody's going to mention that ETH is still holding despite the news that the ETFs are likely going to get not be approved. And this is another point. ETH didn't just go straight to 2,500 or 2,000 or even zero. Like, you got to be cognizant of this. It's good to see strength. I love seeing bad news and price going sideways. What I hate seeing is bad news and new price nuking. It's not a sign of strength. When I see bad news hitting Ethereum, like an ETF not getting approved in next month, which is the last cutoff date, that's a really bad big deal thing. But price is not falling off the face of the earth. And you have to remember, when the XRP news came out on like the SEC stuff, with their lawsuits, XRP just nuked instantly. So keep that in mind. Now, I wanted to cover this one too. This was the AKT God Candle. And this was an actual trade that was completed this week. We talked about it in the Discord. And shout out to RMF, or I believe his name on Twitter is Pepe Cinco. He's our Aussie, our native Aussie. And his accent strongly reflects where he lives. But he shouted, hey, someone fat-fingered AKT, and I went and looked at it. And this was a God candle of all God candles. And if you know, like, this is something we were playing more in Q4 2023. Pinks and cyans. So when I get pink candles, the strongest bull color, into a cyan band, which is the machine learning bands. If you're confused on what I'm saying, just check out the website, because it has a lot of definitions, because I sometimes speak like I'm speaking in English, but it doesn't make sense. But this is our strongest bull color. These are white RSIs, and they're actually touching the machine learning bands. So I woke up, got logged in, saw Pepe Cinco, RMF in the Discord saying, hey, there's a God candle on AKT. Someone fat fingered it. And I promptly sold my entire bag here. I think 6.5 was, or 6.3, I think was the average exit. I'm not going to ask questions. When I have an impulse like this, especially if you look at this on like, not the daily, I want to see like the hourly. Look at the volume impulse. That's huge. Huge. nothing. Boom. And you can see that they're selling into it. So I did an initial 50% sale, dumped it here, dumped another one once I saw, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to like leg back up to the top of here and then bleed out. I sold pretty quick and got out of it just watching it. I got 50% out and then kept going, and I ended up selling all of my AKT bag. And I looked for logical areas where I could re-enter. Now, my fat thing of pivots tells me that's a very, very, very strong support order block, and that's true. And that would be the dream entry, but I started looking at and I don't know if it's going to work live, but we have our new Golden Pocket fib tool. This is the auto fibs that I added back, or I added to the custom clouds tool, so they're there. So we had this, and I need to increase the period a little bit so you get it to grab it. I want to grab it from here to here. It's a little tricky. I forgot what the exact number was live. Yeah, there we go. And then I inverted it. So there's our golden pocket on the auto fibs on the golden candle, and I put my re-entry here. And what I ended up doing, and this is kind of reverse counterintuitive, but I made 17% free AKT. Now, some people are going to ask, what the hell did Runner just do? When I do these type of trades, I'm in the mindset that I'm going into a bull market. I don't want cash. I want more coins. And if I can get more coins for free, I'm going to do that. So I saw a God candle going into the most perfect take profit position ever. Well, I had and have a long-term bag of AKT. So I sold my AKT here and bought back lower at this golden pocket area. And I made, what I was able to do is make 17% on the of free coins. So if I had 100, I ended up with 117, right? Just easy math there. The numbers, those aren't actual numbers. But that's the point of kind of doing these. We knew that we had a God candle in play. We knew that the whales were going to revert to it. And then we actually saw it in the volume tools. They were selling into it. So there was definitely sellers on the other side of the split volume tool. Even though we pumped, they did that. So that was kind of the trade of the week that I actually did, because a lot of the other stuff I'm kind of doing slower, but this, I acted on it. And again, shout out Pepe Cinco. I'm going to try to find his Twitter handle real quick, because you guys, he has a very small he has a small Twitter following, but he's been one of my OGs of Rainbow Theory for so long, and he joins us on the streams at night. If you guys don't know, around 9 o'clock we're gonna hop on the Discord, and then we do the round table. It's a open mic rap battle. Anybody who wants to do a chart session or ask us questions live, you guys totally can, and a bunch of the OGs show up. But anyway, that's Pepe Cinco. Go show him some love, and tell him you're jealous of the diesel Toyotas they have there. But he's awesome. And he actually uses Rainbow Trends main indicator version 1.0. He likes the older one better. So shout out to my guy Pepe. But anyway, that's some tutorials. Reviewing of like channel walkers that are live, channel walkers that have happened in the past. This was the God candle trade of the week for me personally, and I can guarantee you Pix is probably going to post some charts later this week if he wasn't still on vacation, where he caught some of these type of things, because these are the things that like you see Pixa in the Discord. He sells into these cyans, and then he shorts into them and then pulls it back down, and he does really, really well. So actual trades, actual traders, actual Rainbow Theory, actual rainbows, actual whales, all that type of jazz. It's proof in the pudding. Another one I wanted to touch on real quick is Sol. This was another one where Playmaker was asking me a few weeks ago. He was saying like, "Hey, Runner, what's your thoughts on Sol?" And I'm not a real big Sol guy for a lot of reasons. I'm also very petty, and I recognize that. So just Sol's great. It's just not for me. If anything, I like Popcat. I'm a Popcat maxi, which runs on Sol. But the point is, I was asked what my thoughts were, and initially when we were looking at the bottom here, and shout out to like Malifestro for getting like a sub 15 entry on this damn thing and trying to nudge me into it, but I just couldn't do it because I see FTX when I see Solana, and I don't want to touch it. But once we broke above this order block, it was all hands on deck, and we've been on this crazy run, and we actually saw Solana break out before Ethereum, before the mid caps and all this other stuff. The rotations changed, and we saw this thing run, and the old rotation charts to like what everyone references like secrets of crypto kind of like went to the back burner. And I told Playmaker in the Discord, and I put the chart up, man, once you claw your way back all the way up to the final all-time high order block, I don't care anymore. I risk off. I take profit. I don't want to hold this anymore. And so far, you see this huge run. Doesn't look that crazy, right? It's not that big of a pullback, right? Dude, it's pulled back 46%. It's not that anymore, but it wicked back 46%, and now it's back 30%. That's a huge thing. And the point is why, and it sounds like I'm being like not a cool dude, I just don't really care to have an entry all the way down here, ride it all the way up to the last order block, and then bet that it breaks through this. I would rather just take profit, chill out, and by God, if we close some dailies above here at all-time high, Sol's not just going to hang out. Sol's going to rip. And that's how I looked at it, and that's what I posted to him probably 4 weeks ago. And that's how my thoughts are on this is you get all the way back up to 90% all-time high and just chill out. You put your stop loss in, you can just sit cash, 5% APR, stacking sables, and you can set an alert. Let me know when price is above 263, whatever the all-time high was. That's it. So I keep it real simple with that type of stuff because it's like, hey, the odds are against me that it's just going to crush all the way through all these order blocks. I'm just going to chill out. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, likewise, if you just want to chill out and you think, hey, we're going to be on a bull run forever, eventually, yeah, probably this thing gets through at some point. I don't really know. But what I do know is this damn thing didn't even get into this order block. It got right up to it. They printed some really nice pink strong candles, and then they rotated purple to blue to green, and now they're pulling back. And that's a hell of a pullback, 214 to 140. That's rough. So, you know, our guys who longed down here in the Discord and got their entries, it's not so bad. But if you started trying to get in at like 180, 190, that's a big down draw. So just be real careful. So anyway, what's up, Carlu? Pixa. What's up, Pixa? Did you get the mic? Did you get the mic yet? We're going to keep asking. So, moving on. Let me check. That's most of the charts that I wanted to cover, but I always like checking what's going on with the daily. CVC, pumping metal high, Wample, ribbon. Nothing really crazy. I did want to show you guys Say. It looks like Say version 2 is like coming really soon. Like it's about to ship. I haven't seen the latest here, but it is coming soon. Ignore this. This is something we're working on, but don't have it mastered yet. A lot of Rainbow Theory stuff takes forever to figure out, then to actually be able to replicate it. So we kind of lost our order block here, and we went way deep, real bad. But now it's clawing back up. We're back above the channel walker tool. And it looks like Say V2 is actually going to kind of maybe ship sooner than later. Allegedly, it's one line of code. So, kind of looking at that. TIA has been looking a little better. So, maybe we're talking about Modular Mondays coming back. I don't really know. It actually doesn't look too good. But, point being, watch these. They may actually be turning TIA and Say. I don't know yet. Maybe all these to zero. But I think Tia, a lot of people bought it, staking it, thinking they were going to get airdrops, and then they never got any airdrops, so that really sucked. But my guy Popcat is going absolutely bonkers. So again, shout out to the Discord for getting me in position on Popcat. And I can't believe I'm saying this live, but yes, I'm up about 200% or so spot on Popcat. And I'll tell you why Why is there a golden pocket? That's not a golden pocket, my bad. Let me hide that. Or just delete it, whatever. So, Doppel, you got to notice when people, not just Doppel, but when people start talking differently, you need to be able to read your OGs. Doppel normally didn't really mess with like meme coins. And then he kept talking about Popcat. And I'm like, okay, I've got to take this a little more seriously because Doppel normally doesn't, you know, the dudes who talk about Bank of Japan all the time don't necessarily talk about meme coins. And he kept talking about Popcat. And I was like, dang it, okay. I'm going to backtest this. I'm going to see if Aslan knows what Popcat is. And if you don't know Aslan, he's one of our OGs of the Rainbow Theory, like probably 4 or 5 years at this point. Apparently, Aslan actually had a 3D model of Popcat from years ago. And I said to myself, that's all I need. Let me pull it up real quick because it was pretty cool and I need to get one. He sent me a photo and he had a 3D printed Popcat in his lab. I don't have it now. Do I have it? Runner. There it is. Sorry, I wasn't planning on talking about this. So yeah, we got the Popcat 3D printed in Aslan shop. So I went long, and I just left it there, and now it's screaming. And then I find out Che, or the Foo alt, is long Popcat from way lower, and he's looking for like 500x on this thing, wanting it to see like be a top 50 coin. So I'm just gonna chill out. This type of stuff, if you haven't noticed, is insanely volatile. It's a very low cap coin with not a lot of people having access to it. So it just is what it is. It's going to be super volatile. It's going to be able to hang above this stuff for a while as the algos learn it. You're probably going to want to drop down to lower time frames to trade it, but just be careful. But dude, the market has been like super bad this week, and this thing just started going, you know what? We're going to go do all-time high. Cat still pops. And it's at 42 cents now. Absolutely mental. So maybe we're gonna get, maybe Coinbase picks up this bad boy. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, another thing I wanted to show before we wrap this up and get into the Discord. And if you have any last minute requests, please let me know. We can maybe look at it live. I saw this on Inverse Brawl posted this one. So Zach XBT is putting the final touches this week on an investigation I've been working on for 15 months. By far my biggest project due to date, and I look forward to sharing it soon. Expect no other new posts in the meantime. I'm busy, basically. He says, hope it's over $100 million. Zach comes in and says, 9 figures, yes. And then Dan comes in. Seems like I'm in the clear. So he comes in and apparently says his Ponzi schemes is below 9 figures, and tells everybody that Dan's apparently in the clear, and also in jest making the fun that he is a scammer. But moving on, if you guys don't know, we're gonna go hang out in the Discord, open up the mic, have our weekly rap battle. I just put the link in the Discord, or I put the link in the chats. You can hang out with us there, and if you're on Twitter, it's links in bio. The comments don't work on Twitter streams if you're watching on Twitter, but it's there for YouTube and Discord. The other thing too, really trying to get the YouTube channel going. So any follows, likes, or interactions with any of those videos, that'd be awesome. We're slowly grinding that account up. So anyway, talk to you guys later. Love you all. Thanks for showing up again. And also, if at the top of the website, join our Discord community. That link is always there. So if you don't ever know what's going on, rainbow-trends.com, you can get the community Discord link up here, and there's no paywall. So anywho, I'll talk to you guys in the Discord in probably like 2 or 3 minutes. I got to go get everything set up and the streaming setup turned down, but I will talk to you guys later.